everyone and welcome back to another video. In the last few videos you've seen me replacing the floor. That's done. A few other bits and pieces to do underneath once the paint's dry, but for the purpose of this, that's done. Now what you can see here, in previous videos I showed you the doorstep repair panel I had that goes also onto the rear quarter panel. I've cut that and shaped that, so I'm happy with where it's fitting. I've got it held in with various clamps, welding clamps everywhere, and yeah, it's looking good. So what I've also done is I've put in place the brackets, the support brackets in between here. There's 3 of them, and underneath I've put the outer sill. It's all held in place, none of it's welded in yet. I just wanted to make sure it was all good before I went any further. So I'll go around with the small camera and show you all in place, but this bit now I'm going to start taking off slowly so I can start prepping and getting it finally welded in bit by bit. Starting with this panel here, starting with the brackets on the inside, then this panel, then the outer sill. Having a spot welder for this job makes it a lot easier and a lot quicker. A few videos back you've seen me cutting off the old outer sill. I'm just going to replay that back here just in the time lapse for you. So yeah, that was the sill coming off. I wasn't too fussed about the neatness or anything like that because I knew this is all getting replaced. What I then done was I got this panel and this panel prepped just with sanding back and painting on here. Now I will need to do a bit more work on the outer sill because I need to remove some of the paint I put on for the spot welds, but I thought I'll just get the paint down, it'll be easier removing that and then putting weld through primer on it once I'm at that stage. So yeah, on to this bit. I'm going to now get the outer sill back off again so I can get in and mark up the brackets for their final resting place before I take this off. It will need more fettling once it goes on. This is just very rough to see how it was sitting. There you go. So like I said, paint is going to have to be removed on this outer edge here where the spot welds have gone. I'd rather have too much paint on than not enough. So when I put these brackets on, and again I'll come down with the small camera, I just stuck them on my gaffer tape to get a rough idea. Yeah, it's not ideal. I should have maybe tack welded it in, but I just thought it gives me a bit more scope. But I'll show you with the small camera just now how I've got them set up. So it's fairly straightforward. It's just a case of getting them lined up here so that when the outer sill goes it's going to press against each of the edges there, and then obviously we need to get welded on there. So what I'm going to do in particular, especially for the cross member support, I'm just going to put tape down here so I know where it goes, because I know this hole lines up perfectly with the outer sill. Basically means when I take this off to get the paint off that's behind it, I know exactly where it goes back again. Now I could mark it with a pen, but I'm going to grind the paint away, so it's going to take all the paint away here, whereas this part here, and what I'm doing is the exact outer edge here I'm lining up with this. This is welded on, I don't have to worry about it. This one is fine because it's pretty much just against here, so I know where that's going. But again, I'm going to mark it up, because that then shows me above here is where I need to take the paint off and put the weld through primer on. There we go. Right, I can now get the doorstep off. So you can see there, that now gives me brilliant access to the panels to get them cleaned off, and I'm going to just focus on doing one at a time. Before I put the closing bracket on, I've got better access to get this last one in here. So the area's prepped, bare metal this side, weld through primer here, weld through primer here, bare metal here. Because once I've done that, I can coat this exposed side, but once it's welded on, these inside bits are non-accessible. I'm going to get this bit fitted along here. Like I say, if you're normally doing this, you probably wouldn't do this part. This is purely because I've replaced the floor and I wasn't happy with the original part. The original part I cut here to get it free. It's not bad, surface rust, but I think for a heritage part it was under £20. So yeah, this is where I ended up. And it's going to sit the right way. There. So basically I just need to get it clamped in so it lines up as best it can here. Then I'll get a couple of spot welds here and then spot weld along here as much as I can get access to. Shouldn't be too bad actually. Okay, turn that light down so it's not blinding it. It's bright. Okay, basically I let that dry, give it a few more coats of epoxy primer, get some sealant on it round about here, green paint, all that stuff, basically before I get access to, before I get cut off from access down here. Okay, that's the brackets in. I need to tidy up this one here. I burnt through slightly, so I need to dress it up, but that's fine. I can do that another day. So the sliding brackets, this one here and the one at the back there, they went on the Mini when it was in the factory to transport it around. So basically, yeah, there's a hole in it. The shell was attached and it was transported basically, but I decided I wanted to keep them in here just to give extra strength. It's another point at the front and a point at the back that the outer sill is going to be welded to, so it just gives a bit more strength at the front and the back. So yeah, for the sake of a few spot welds, I thought, yeah, I'll put them in. So they're all in place. What I'll do once this is dried and off camera, I'll go around and I'll seam seal all the edges, because I don't want any water getting in anywhere and sitting and rotting it from the seams. I'll then do some more painting in all this area with epoxy primer paint. So basically, when I come back to you next, this will all be looking nice and it'll be ready for the doorstep to be put back in place. I have now got the doorstep and the rear quarter floor repair panel in place where I'm happy with it. It's all prepped, it's basically ready for a weld. So, combination of seam welds and spot welds. Shouldn't take too long, hopefully. Really happy with where it's sitting here and here. So yeah, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put some tack welds in where the seam weld's going to be, just to hold it in place and it's not going to move. So I'll put a couple in here, a couple at the door here, and a couple at where it meets the door on the other side. Then I can look at putting a couple of spot welds in and just bit by bit build it up. So I'll stick the small camera on time lapse and I'll let the footage run. So, it's on. I need to now go away and grind all this back, fill in all the pinpricks, get it all smooth and looking nice basically. The bracing is off to give me more access, so yeah, it's welded in, and it's the only bit I'm disappointed with is here, it's warped slightly just because I said before the thickness of this is just too thin basically, so it's going to need filler to make it look good at that stage. So yeah, I'm going to do this off camera because it's just boring watching grinding, filling, pinpricks and all that stuff, and when I come back all of this will be looking good and I can then move on to the outer sill. I've got all the clamps in place so the outer sill is where I want it to be. So I'm basically going to start with the spot welder. I've got all the clamps along here and bigger clamps holding the inside to the floor. Yeah, so I'm going to start along here. I'll do this edge first, get a few in the bottom, then I can move the clamps out of the way that are getting in the way. Then at the rear, where I can't get in with the spot welder, I've got the holes drilled and I can do plug welds from underneath. So I'll stick you back on the time lapse and let's get this outer sill in. Step and the outer sill are finished. I might need to go over some bits with paint once I clean everything up to see how it's looking. Throat's a bit croaky today, I think it's all the cold days in the garage. So yeah, I'm happy with this bit. To get to this bit, the whole floor, that's me 65 hours of my time in. So a lot of time invested, but it's going to give me a lot of happy years in this car. I'm not finished because on the other side I've had a look and there's a hole in the arch, the flitch panel at the bottom, and there's a hole in the outer sill on the other side, so I need to look at those areas. I'll see you on the next video, take care and thanks for watching. Cheers!